From KAMR Local 4 News, your local election headquarters, this is Politics Today.
We had our first experience with extreme cold weather in a while, how the city collaborated with resources to help those who were without shelter. And one of those resources used to be the Guyon Saunders Resource Center. What happens now that they're no longer operating? The Arctic blast last weekend put our homeless at risk. Shelters were full. Transformation Park partners with the city of Amarillo to help out. Thanks for joining us this morning. The Guyon Saunders and Salvation Army were just a few of the places that vulnerable people could go for warm shelter. Politics Today's Maya Clark has the story.
Major winter storm since Transformation Park opened their doors to the unhoused community.
We have been very full, but it's gone extremely well. I probably couldn't have asked for it to go much better.
With sustained hours of below freezing temperatures, Transformation Park worked alongside Guyon Saunders and the city's Community Development Department.
We have 124 at Transformation Park, and then we've had between 100 and 150 here at the old Guyon Saunders building. They've been kind of taking the night shift, we've been taking the day shift, and we've had anywhere between 100 and 150 here at different times, and add 20 to 25 dogs on top of that.
At Salvation Army, Major Tex Ellis says on average they've had about 80 to 85 people a night since Friday and have served 600 meals between breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
And we're open for anybody to come check in if they need a place to get out of the weather. Trying to work closely with the other shelters in the area to make sure nobody's left outside. And that's really our first goal when it gets this cold, is to make sure everybody's inside.
Ellis and Zimmerman both shared the goal between all the shelters is to make sure everyone has a place to go, because they feel it's the community's responsibility to look out for each other.
If you have a preference, there's a place to go. But this bitter cold temperature is really dangerous, and we don't want anyone left outside that doesn't have to be. So that's when the Salvation Army just kind of opens our doors, and especially during times of disaster, which this is a disaster response. And we just try to make sure everybody's safe, warm, fed, and hydrated.
They're our fellow citizens, and so I feel like we have a responsibility to do that. And so if that means we have to go above and beyond a little bit, then that's what we're going to do at Transformation Park. We're going to go above and beyond to keep people from freezing to death on the streets.
Now, both Ellis and Zimmerman say that donations have made a big difference, and they are always welcome. The donation items can be something like blankets, socks, jackets, food, as well as monetary donations. At the end of last year, it was announced that Guyon Saunders Resource Center will be ceasing operations. Now, this has always been the plan since the opening of Transformation Park, but it's looking a little different. Politics Today's Princess Bryant brings us more on those changes.
Since the cease of operations at Guyon Saunders Resource Center, services have been provided by the Hub, which is operated by Transformation Park. Here's a look at the center from last week. These changes were discussed at the Community Development Advisory Committee.
Mostly just the location. The Transformation Park has absorbed the staff from the Resource Center, so they're going to ideally be able to provide all the same services that they had at the Resource Center. Same folks, it's just new place. I know there's some plans to help with transportation to and from the safe space and maybe even shelter.
Due to construction, the plan is looking a little different.
The hub was supposed to be opened up a little sooner, but you know how construction goes. But now that we're going to be going with that, it will only be until the Joe Moore Street Center is open, and last I heard it should be September. So a few months, but we're excited for any additional resources.
During the meeting, funds were also reallocated from Emerald Children's Home and Guyon Saunders Resource Center to the Hub.
What you'll see is that we allocated funds for the Children's Home this year, but Children's Home said we actually don't need those funds, and so the CDAC staff saw a need with the Hub through Transformation Park, and we were able to get those funds allocated quickly to them.
Now, following the cease of operations of Guyon Saunders Resource Center, the leftover funding was about $29,000, along with over $15,000 reallocated from the Amarillo Children's Home. And that will be given to the Hub, which amounts to more than $44,000. Members of the Guyon Saunders Resource Center Board of Transformation Park Board, both of those combined, were not present at the meeting, but we were informed that Transformation Park plans to hopefully open the Hub February 9th. Governor Greg Abbott directing certain officials to freeze new H-1B visa applications, saying the state is opening an investigation into possible abuse of the federal program. H-1B visas allow companies and public institutions to hire foreign nationals for highly skilled positions, requiring a detailed report about its sponsored employees by the end of March. Abbott said that he wants to ensure Texans are not losing out on jobs to H-1B visa holders.
We want to make sure that our communities are not being, having people come in and take jobs that Texans can easily fill.
Federal data shows Texas A&M sponsored 214 H-1B visa holders in 2025. How will that H-1B freeze impact educational institutions? We hear from Amarillo College along with West Texas A&M University about their next steps. Politics Today's Prentice Bryant back with that answer.
Governor Greg Abbott announced that he will be launching an investigation into H-1B visas. This investigation comes after Governor Abbott says there has been recent reports of abuse of the program. The freeze will order educational institutions to freeze new applicants until May 2027.
We only have one, and prior to that, we had a couple of years ago, we had one that we made a permanent employee. But when you're regional or a community, a college or university, you mainly draw from the community.
Dr. Coleman explains the next steps for the college.
We only have one, and according to the law, is all new H-1B visas. So we're going to continue as is. We're going to hire eventually bring this other person in that's got specific skills that we don't have, and renew that.
West Texas A&M University sent in a statement following the announcement from Governor Abbott. It says in part, quote, "The Texas A&M University system appreciates Governor Abbott's leadership on this issue. Consistent with the recent federal changes to the H-1B program, the system had already discontinued sponsorship of new H-1B petitions that would require payment of the newly implemented $100,000 federal fee. We have received Governor Abbott's directive ordering a freeze of new H-1B visa petitions at Texas public institutions of higher education, and we're fully complying with that directive." In Amarillo, Princess Bryant, Fox 14 News.
According to the statement, the system will remain committed to protecting taxpayers complying with the law. Officials went on to say that the system is ensuring that Texas students and communities are served by a strong and qualified workforce. It's been a plan in the works for decades. Could there be more movement on the Ports to Plains initiative? We'll tackle that story, plus City Council voting on the closing of 2 local pools. We'll tell you about that outcome after this quick break. At this week's Amarillo City Council meeting, the council had their first reading to consider a resolution supporting the future Interstate Highway Formula program. Take a look.
This resolution is in support to request the federal government to add a future Interstate Highway Formula funding program to the next federal surface transportation authorization bill.
We're not raising anything. We're not funding anything. This
Correct.
is just a letter of support for
the federal government to put funding toward this effort.
According to the Ports to Plains Alliance, the future Interstate Highway Formula program is to promote the planning and construction of interstate highways. The resolution passed unanimously.
But it's going to bring travelers as well as those one-night stays by truckers that are coming through, and they stop, and so we're going to see sales tax revenue increase through it, and federal dollars that are going to come through and to complete that interstate.
Path adds you see a lot of interstates east of the Mississippi and not a whole lot in the Midwest, and the Ports to Plains Alliance is trying to change that.
They're trying to encourage more of that activity as we're developing in our part of the country.
The Ports to Plains Alliance says the proposal would create a program to allocate funds to states for constructing interstate highways. They would be exempt from the Highway Trust Fund rate of return formulas, allowing states to set their own annual development priorities and provide for federal commitment to complete future interstates. 2 of the City of Amarillo pools on the south side of Amarillo now officially closed, at least for now. Amarillo City Council voting to pass the second reading of the resolution to temporarily close southwest and southeast pools. Well, these closings are different from the first readings, as the Southwest Pool was originally going to be closed for good.
What council wants us to do now is go back and evaluate both of those facilities and see exactly what is there structurally, see what the possibilities would be to repair those, bring them back up to standards, or if there's some other ideas as well as far as feasibility and what we should do within our community.
Both pools will now have an engineering study done to create a new plan moving forward. A zoning change tied to alcohol sales at an Amarillo indoor sports facility narrowly passes. City Council approving a rezoning ordinance for the Amarillo Netplex on a 3-2 vote. The change will allow on-premise alcohol sales for adult games like pickleball and league games. The owner says beer would only be served in a designated lounge area. The city says the business meets all state alcohol distance requirements. Following the days of extreme cold, the city of Amarillo dealing with dozens of water main breaks across the city. Officials say crews worked around the clock in dangerous conditions, prioritizing neighborhoods that lost water service and isolating other leaks so repairs could continue as quickly as possible. Most customers now have water restored, but officials warn more leaks could appear as temperatures warm up.
As of today, we were at about 38. And to put that into perspective, at this time from October until now, we've had about 10 water leaks. So it's a lot for us to take care of. You're going to generally see this happen whenever we have extreme cold temperatures like that.
Hooper says the crews will continue to respond to new breaks as they are reported. It is a project that has been years in the making. Ground was finally broken on the Panhandle First Responders Memorial. We're going to take you to that celebration in downtown Amarillo after this quick break. Community leaders, first responders, and families gathering in downtown Amarillo this week for the groundbreaking of the Texas Panhandle First Responders Memorial. Politics Today's Blas Guerrero has more on what this memorial will mean for this region moving forward.
3, 2, 1.
The Texas Panhandle First Responders Memorial is one step closer to becoming a reality after holding its groundbreaking. The memorial is designed to honor first responders who lost their lives in the line of duty across the area. Organizers say more than 100 names will be included from the top 26 counties of the Panhandle.
I mean, these people have lost their lives, and they did it serving us and serving the communities they're from. And so we needed a place to honor them.
The project is being led by the Friends of A.J. Swope and made possible through community donations from across the Panhandle. Organizers say community support helped turn the idea into a reality.
People from across our entire Texas Panhandle community were involved and helped make it happen. I mean, people from the top 26 counties of the Panhandle came together, whether it was $10 or $200,000, they came together to help make that happen.
In addition to being a physical space, the memorial will also include an educational component allowing visitors to go online and learn about each first responder and their service.
This memorial represents people who have lost their lives the last 100 years in the Texas Panhandle, and it will be here for another 100 years after that and 100 years after that. We hope it helps this Panhandle community as we continue to evolve and grow, continue to keep our first responders top of mind.
I know a lot of work, a lot of project, a lot of people put into that project, and finally getting to see that come to fruition this past week. Organizers say final design work now underway with construction expected to begin this spring. Once complete, the memorial will be open to the public and a dedication ceremony is planned later this year. Organizers say the memorial will honor every first responder who died in the line of duty spanning more than a century of service. Here's something to put on the calendar. March primaries will be here before you know it. We're going to take a look at one of the big races that will be on the ballot and how some lawmakers in Texas are bringing awareness to a specific immigration case. Early voting for the Texas primary starts in just 20 days, and at the top of the ticket, two contentious primaries for U.S. Senator John Cornyn's seat. On the Democratic side, U.S. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and State Representative James Tallarico debated this weekend. Both have already made stops in this area. That debate hosted by our parent company, Nexstar. However, as State Capitol reporter Adam Schwerger reports, you're not likely to see a debate happening for the Republican primary.
I've actually already challenged John Cornyn to 4 debates. He's turned them all down.
U.S. Representative Wesley Hunt says he's been trying to organize a debate between himself and U.S. Senator John Cornyn, who he's running to replace. Cornyn's response?
This is an effort by him to get some visibility, and I just don't see any point in wasting the time debating with Congressman Hunt, since his candidacy is not going to survive the March 3rd primary.
In the latest public polling coming from Nexstar and Emerson College earlier this month, Hunt trailed Cornyn and fellow challenger Attorney General Ken Paxton by 10 and 11 points respectively. While Cornyn believes he's destined for a runoff with Paxton, Hunt is confident in his chances.
And I can assure you we're probably going to head to a runoff, and I will be in that runoff.
Speaking of Paxton, his team has not responded to 10 different Nexstar requests for one-on-one interviews since mid-September. Instead, he's focused primarily on speaking through his official actions as Attorney General, including issuing an unprompted legal opinion on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, attacking DEI. Both of Paxton's opponents saw the move completely differently.
He's exactly right. DEI has no place in this country at this phase. Those are the days of the past, and people are sick and tired of being divided along racial lines.
Unfortunately, that's how the Attorney General does business. He does it by press release. And in this case now, using his official title and Texas tax dollars to promote his candidacy. I think it's entirely inappropriate.
Early voting runs from February 17th to the 27th, with the primary taking place on March 3rd. To vote in the primary, Texans must be registered by February 2nd. In Austin, I'm Adam Schwager.
For more extended coverage, Adam's full interviews with Cornyn and Hunt are over on our website. You can also find the full version of Nexstar's Tallarico and Crockett debate alongside our State of Texas recap. A group of prominent Texas Democrats are calling for the release of Liam Ramos, a 5-year-old boy who was taken into custody along with his father by immigration agents in Minnesota last week. The Department of Homeland Security maintains agents did not arrest Liam. A spokesperson said they took custody of the child to protect him after his father ran from agents. Now, both the father and the son are being held in a family detention facility near San Antonio. Some congressional Democrats toured that facility earlier this week and met with Liam and his father. They then spoke to a group of reporters outside of San Antonio City Hall. Capitol correspondent Dylan McKim breaks down those remarks.
Images of Liam Ramos being detained in the driveway of his home went viral last week amid the Trump administration's immigration operation in Minnesota. Over the weekend, the Associated Press captured aerial video of immigrant families protesting inside the facility. On Wednesday, a group of protesters holding images of Liam gathered outside the detention facility where he and his father are being detained. Photos show Texas state troopers using pepper spray to disperse some of the protesters. Congressman Joaquin Castro and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett went inside the facility in Dilley, Texas, and spoke with Liam and his father. Castro said he was told that Liam is depressed and not eating well. He said there were other children in the facility, including a 2-month-old baby. Castro said he demanded the release of Liam and had a message for Stephen Miller, the Homeland Security advisor to the president.
If you're going to be an architect of this kind of viciousness and brutality and inhumanity, then you should have the guts to go to these facilities like Dilley and sit face to face, eye to eye with these kids and tell them why you believe they belong there.
A lawyer representing the family said Liam and his father, who are both from Ecuador, crossed a port of entry in Brownsville back in December 2024 to apply for asylum. But federal officials have pushed back on that narrative, saying Liam's father entered the country illegally. Earlier this week, a federal judge in San Antonio blocked the deportation of Liam and his father. Their immigration cases are still pending. Reporting in Austin, I'm Dylan McKim.
All right, we'll wrap up Politics Today after this. Borger is withdrawing from a coalition formed in response to the 2024 wildfires. Let's talk about what happened this week. The mayor read a statement at their recent council meeting saying in part, I know the best way to improve safety is to look forward by working to improve what we currently have. Also saying they wanted to improve safety across the board without focusing on one company or one solution. This coalition formed to, quote, seek safety for their residents amid continued negligence in utility maintenance by Xcel. We've got more on this coalition and Xcel's response when they formed. That's over on our website, myhighplains.com. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.